and welcome to the Tournament Center here at the Magic the Gathering World Championships held at PAX in Seattle. I'm Brian David Marshall, and I am here with Pro Tour champion Shaun McLaren, and we're here to talk a little bit about Modern. So you're would you call yourself an electrolyzed guy?
I'm an electrolyzed guy, yeah.
You're sitting down for your matchup, and someone's like, "Oh, this is going to go really badly for Jacob," and it's like, "Why? You haven't even?" He's like, "Oh, he always has electrolyzed."
It's a good card against a bunch of robots. So,
We've seen you play blue, white, red a lot, but for this tournament, you played blue, red Pyromancer. What is the difference? I mean, obviously we see blue, red. We expect blue, red Delver. We expect blue, red Twin. Why blue, red young Pyromancer deck?
Yeah, I sort of shaved the white and got a bit more aggressive than I'm used to, which I wanted to do for this tournament. Blue, white, red is you generally need to have all the right answers, and I wasn't exactly sure what the metagame was going to be, so I wanted to be a bit more aggressive and just stay blue, red, but keep a lot of the controlling elements, sort of a hybrid between a blue, red Delver and blue, white, red control. Sort of merge those two decks together is what I was going for.
So a somewhat aggro control deck?
Yeah.
All right, let's take a look at what you ended up with. Let's talk about the creature suite. There are just the 3 different creatures in the deck, 12 altogether: Grim Lavamancer, Snapcaster Mage, and of course young Pyromancer. What about all the creatures and cards you can be playing in Modern makes you arrive at these 3 creatures?
Well, Snapcaster Mage, so much value. The bet I'm gonna be playing 4 of those if I'm playing blue. But Grim Lavamancer and Young Pyromancer are sort of new additions to to my arsenal. Grim Lavamancer and Young Pyromancer, they don't draw cards, which is strange. They're not like Wall of Omens. They get their value in different ways. I sort of think of Grim Lavamancer as every time I activate him, I'm drawing a shock. And Young Pyromancer is sort of the best finisher for this deck. Like, it's a 2-drop, and it's also my end game.
And then in conjunction, every half a shock is a 1/1 creature.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so let's take a look at some of the spells you're using to power up all these, because all those cards have spells in common, right? Like they want spells in the graveyard, they want spells to flash back, they want spells to trigger 1/1 tokens. There's your card.
Electrolyze.
Electrolyze.
Yeah, only 2 of them, like I said, getting low here. 4 lightning bolts, obvious, and roast is for the big guys. Tassiger, Gurmag, Angler, Tarmogoyf, those sort of cards. It's nice to have an answer for him in the for those type of cards in the main deck.
And you're comfortable playing just 1 copy of a card like that?
And then I have more in the sideboard, but just 1 because it's pretty mediocre against a lot of decks. But it's nice to have 1 so you're not having to like Bolt and Grim Lavamancer a Tassiger or set that up.
Okay, and you do have that if you need to. So.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's take a look at some of the cards that let you draw cards here. There's a lot of counter spells in this deck, so I had to put Remand on in this collection here, but it draws you a card. Talk about some of these cards that give you a little bit of velocity in your deck.
Serum Visions is going to be great for setting up the early game and not flooding out in the late game. Gitaxian Probe is great with Young Pyromancer, or it sort of helps me know whether I need to be leaving up my counters, because like you say, my deck relies a lot on counter spells, so I don't want to be tapping out at the wrong time and letting a threat that I can't deal with resolve. And of course, Remand is just great.
So you were watching a match before and someone played a Cryptic Command, and you really just had a smile. You just love counter magic.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at what you ended up putting in this deck. As you can see, we're jam-packed here. 1 Dispel, 3 Mana Leak, 3 Spell Snare. Just 1 Cryptic Command and 1 Spell Pierce. Why this mix?
I knew people were going to know my deck list, so I wanted to sort of diversify. That's why you only see 3 Mana Leak. I might be running 4, but I don't want people to be playing around Mana Leak too much. So 1 Dispel, 1 Spell Pierce to sort of keep them guessing, and Spell Snare hits everything. And then Cryptic Command is a nice top end in case we get up to 4 mana or 6 mana where we're flashing it back with Snapcaster, doing shenanigans. You can tap down teams, for a bunch of young Pyromancer tokens and sort of win that way too.
You just building up your army of tokens, and then you just okay.
Exactly.
Now everyone
Yeah.
gets to get through.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's take a look at how you pull this all together. 8 sack lands, 8 fetch lands, so Polluted Delta, Scalding Tarn, Bloodstained Mire, but again, you're only looking for the blue and the red lands with these.
Right. I really wanted to be gentle with my life total for this tournament, which is another reason to remove the white. So the blue-red mana base is really good, and the sack lands really help fix you, get steam vents, and 1 Bloodstained Mire is nice for searching up a mountain and casting Grim Lavamancer on turn 1, which happens a fair amount.
Okay, so let's move on. Let's look at what you're. So you mentioned the 1 mountain, the 3 islands, the 3 steam vents, and then 4 sulfur falls to sort of pull that all together.
Yeah, Sulfur Falls is great. At any point past turn 1, it dodges choke and boil, and you really want to have a lot of red mana and a lot of blue mana, so Sulfur Falls is great. And then the minimum mountains and a couple islands, so you don't run out with your sack lands. There you go.
And then there was 1 more land. We left it by itself because it is the Desolate Lighthouse.
Desolate Lighthouse. It says draw a card on a land. This card is so good. I was really debating 1 Desolate Lighthouse and 1 Ghost Quarter before the tournament, and it might have worked out better the way the field is. But I gotta run the land that says draw a card on it. Like, I can't resist.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about sideboard. What you're doing here. So you mentioned the roasts, 2 roasts hanging out in the sideboard. So you're able to sort of change your configuration of your control and your removal and stuff like that around after sideboarding?
Yeah, like Roast is incredible in certain matchups. Dispel is one of the best cards in the format in certain matchups. This sideboard is great. Relic of Progenitus, a great card in certain matchups. Blood Moon wins the game in certain matchups. The sideboard's really powerful, retaining a lot of the powerful sideboard cards from blue, white, red without the white. We didn't need it.
Now, does Blood Moon a card that loses a little value in a format where you guys are swapping deck lists at the beginning of each round?
But it's good enough that you want to keep them honest. I'm only running 2, not like 3 or anything like that. But it's just too good a card and can win matchups on its own.
All right, let's take a look at the rest of the sideboard here. 2 Pyroclasm, 2 Shatterstorm. So you use this to great effect last round against Jacob Wilson.
Yeah, I'm glad I have those Shatterstorms because there's lots of affinity, and that can be a rough matchup if they ever resolve like an Etched Champion or Cranial Plating that can just beat you on the spot. But Shatterstorm scoops up everything.
2 Spellskite and an Engineered Explosives.
Yep, Spellskite is a nice card. The Spellskite and Engineered Explosives are for Boggles mostly, and sort of come in a lot of different other matchups like Burn and that sort of thing. Engineered Explosives, you can only cast it for 2, but I'm still running it because it's a unique effect for this deck that really can't deal with artifacts or enchantments that well. Like, we have Shatterstorm, but it's expensive, so you don't want to bring it in against like a specific 2-drop artifact.
Okay. All right, Shaun McLaren, sitting here at 4-0. You're in great position going into the last 3 rounds of Modern here. Thanks for coming into the Tournament Center and telling us about Blue-Red Pyromancer. I'm Brian David Marshall, sending it back to you.